Hello everyone, my name is Christian. Welcome to my hobby blog. Today we are going to do a pretty short review. I was not planning on doing this. I did not have many thoughts after watching this film last night. And throughout the day today, I kept thinking about it, processing it, digesting it, all those action words. And I decided, you know what, I'll do a short review and I'll just say what the movie is. This is going to be 2021's film by Gaspar Noé, who is a divisive director who I personally really enjoy his films. I think there's only about two of them that I have not really gotten anything out of, but this one is his latest one called Vortex. And this is starring Dario Argento and also the actress Francois Lebrun. I hope I said that right. If not, I apologize. And then we have Alex Lutz, who plays the son of both of these characters. And in this film, we are dealing with an elderly couple who Dario Argento has heart problems and his wife has dementia. And the entire film is them sort of tackling this. And I hope that can be seen. But they are tackling these illnesses and just having a very terrible time. We start off the movie with them seemingly normal, but as the time goes on, the conditions worsen. And you get to see Dario Argento trying to take care of his wife, and his wife has dementia, so she wanders off and disappears for a chunk of the runtime. And what's really amazing about this movie is that, again, Gaspar Noé is utilizing the split screen technique of his film that he had done previously in the movie called Lux Eterna. And that was actually one of the few movies that I have not really had any feelings on. I watched it and I said, hey, that's interesting. Never gonna watch it again. But this movie, I think, is the most accessible of Gaspar Noé's. And it doesn't have the big punch you in the face moments as his other films like Climax or even Into the Void, and from what I've heard, Irreversibly. And that's one of the last movies by Gaspar Noé that I really want to watch. But this one, with the way that we have the split screen going on, for most of the runtime, we are following Dario Argento is on one side of the screen and his wife is on the other. And we just follow them through the majority of the runtime, as I just said. But what's amazing about this is that one or the other will be replaced by another character for a good while, and you'll watch them interact with each other, and you get a very interesting juxtaposition between the characters that are being shown through one reel and then the other reel. And I really enjoyed that aspect of the movie. I really enjoyed how rewatchable this seems to be. There are many points throughout the movie where you could just watch one side of the screen and you would have a complete film that would be, you wouldn't have the full context of what is going on, but it is very rewarding, I think, to watch because you pick up on so many nuances of the performances from both Dario Argento and oh my gosh, and Francois Lebrun, and the son character played by Alex Lutz. And I really loved the sort of interweaving of these three major characters throughout all of the runtime. We don't really have anybody else outside of maybe a doctor and then a caretaker. And there's a point of the movie where we just follow one character and you experience the movie through their eyes. And it is absolutely effective and powerful to see from their eyes what is going on. And I'm not going to go in spoilers because I think there's really not many spoilers to discuss, but it will, I think, cheapen the movie if you don't have that emotional investment that is going on. And I just really enjoyed the performances the most. They were very powerful. Dario Argento wasn't even the first choice uh, for this character. Gaspar Noé had begun writing the script for this movie and asked Asia, who is Dario Argento's daughter, who was in the film Trauma and Phantom of the Opera and a few others that I have not seen. But Gaspar Noé approached him and was like, hey, like, I'd love to have your father be in a movie. He's never acted before, let alone have a lead role in a film. So I really applaud Gaspar Noé for pushing Dario Argento to a new direction. I mean, it could have been very easy for him to be an executive producer or even a script writer, a contributor to the script. And I really enjoyed Dario Argento's performance because it is his debut acting. He was never an actor, he was always a director. And so I really enjoyed that aspect of the film. And I did watch one of the Q&As that was on this release from Utopia, and it is very fun to watch. It's not the most in-depth interview. You're not going to get sort of Tony Raines levels of questions and answers when you're watching the Q&A, but there are a lot of interesting stories that Gaspar Noé tells, one of which is how he chose Dario Argento. And I really enjoyed, excuse me, I'm trying not to hiccup on camera, but there are just so many things to appreciate in this movie, and I feel really sort of lost out in it because of the format of the movie, but of the split screens. But at the same time, I think there's no sort of consistency when watching this movie because you are constantly shifting from one screen to the other and depending on what you respond to most in movies, your eyes may stay on one screen for a good while and then may hover to the other. I tried to go back and forth between the two as much as I could, but sometimes I wanted to watch Francois Lebrun doing her stuff, and then sometimes my eyes would wander over to Dario Argento, and he's just typing away on a script because his character, and this is one of the things that Gaspar Noé talks about in the Q&A, is that he did not really define the character of the husband. He had Dario Argento come in with his own personality and hobbies and just life experiences and brought that in. So in this movie, I think they filmed it at an apartment that is very close to how Dario Argento's own home is, because you have movie posters all over the apartment or suite, and you have him talking about his films and going to guest appearances to do talks about movies because he is writing a book all about movies and dreams and how they interact with each other. And I really enjoyed, and I keep saying that, I'm very repetitive, I apologize, but I really enjoyed that part because I love when actors bring their own experiences to the movie, and I especially love when the director allows the actors to do this. And Gaspar Noé is definitely a director who really appreciates and respects his actors and actresses, because during the entire Q&A, this idea of collaboration kept coming up, where Dario Argento is like, what if we do it this way? What if we do it this way? And Francois would do the same, and Alex, who plays the son. And it was just really fascinating to see uh, the Q&A and finding out what was planned and unplanned. And there's even some sequences in the movie that were not planned out beforehand. And Dario Argento was like, hey, what if we did this? And on the day of shooting, and they would do it. And it was pulled off so well. There's one sequence in particular that Gaspar Noé had a lot of issues filming because he is friends with Dario Argento. So there's a scene where he's having some heart troubles and he falls on the ground and is gasping for air. And Gaspar Noé was talking about in the Q&A how kind of scary it was to film that because Dario Argento is in his late 70s, I believe, mid to late 70s. And Gaspar Noé, I think, is about to turn 60 here in a few months. And he was just like, oh my gosh, like, as Dario Argento is filming, he talks about how, as Dario Argento is acting distressed and having a medical emergency, Gaspar Noé was like, oh my gosh, is this for real? Like, he's doing a very good job, and this is a long take. This entire movie is long takes, minutes at a time of just the camera sitting there, and the actors are acting. And it's so well done. And I felt that way while watching that scene with Dario Argento because it's a distressing scene to watch. Gaspar Noé pulls these performances, these very raw performances out of his actors, and it's so well done. I have a lot more to talk about this movie than I thought I did. And I'm really happy to have seen this. I think this is his most accessible film that he has made. And it's just amazing. I didn't watch all of the Q&As, or two of them on this disc. I just watched the one from, I think, the BFI, or at least the National Film Institute. But it was absolutely well done. I really enjoyed this movie. I wouldn't give it 5 stars on Letterboxd. I don't think it's a perfect movie because there are a bit of slow points. I mean, again, you have 2 screens and sometimes it gets overwhelming having to keep track of what's going on 2 screens. Where sometimes you have Francois's character doing so much at a market because she has dementia and her brain is just sort of making her do things that she's not realizing she's doing. And there's one part of the film especially where Dario Argento is doing the most mundane task ever, and I think he's taking a bath or something, and you see him slowly take off his shirt, slowly take off his pants, undoes his belt, takes off his pants, takes off his underwear, gets in the tub, slowly goes down to and it's just this constant thing, and your eyes are like, oh my gosh, this is so boring. But because of the split screen, what's going on with the wife is that she's just outside the door in his home office, taking all of the drafts and books and papers and notes and everything that Dario Argento has been doing for this book he's writing, all about cinema and dreams, and she's just tossing it in the toilet. She's decluttering, is what she says. And she finishes it, and Dario Argento finishes bath, and gets up, and she's in the flushing his notes down the toilet, literally. And he is just freaking out. And I really love the sort of juxtaposition of these really high distressing events going on, and then on the other screen, Dario Argento's taking a bath. And I really love that. It's not something I was expecting from this movie. But what a great movie. Very emotional. It is not for the faint of heart. We are talking about Gaspar Noé. Even if this is his most accessible film and one that I think anybody could watch, have tissues nearby. The performances are so raw and powerful and very natural too. Gaspar Noé talks about in the Q&A also how he didn't write the dialogue for this movie. All the actors would just, I I guess, I'm trying to think of the word, would improvise the lines, and they would work off of each other. And there's a point in the movie where the son of Dario Argento and Francois, he comes in with his son, who's like 4 or 5 years old, and he's just smashing cars on the table while the son and his parents are talking about dealing with his mother having dementia and Dario Argento having heart problems. And during the scene, the mom is sitting there and she's not really able to talk at this point because her motor faculties have just deteriorated so much that she's not able to talk anymore. And while this is happening, you can see her really trying to talk, and finally she just breaks down. And Gaspar Noé had no idea that was going to happen. And so, again, this is all improvised, and the actors had no idea. So you can see the complete confusion when they see her crying, and they completely change the scene, and they try to uplift her and reassure her that they love her. And it's so powerful. I'm trying not to cry while I talk about it, but I love this movie. The more I talk about it, the more strong I feel in my feelings for this movie. So I think that's it for today. I talked about everything as much as I could without spoilers and without sort of spoiling the supplements too. I highly recommend everybody to pick up the Utopia edition of this film and watch through the one Q&A. I'm sure the other one is just as great. But what a great movie. Thank you everybody for watching, and please have a great rest of the day.